Life has a way of balancing the scales. Every action sets off a chain reaction. Every attempt to destroy another comes with a hidden cost. The universe is a silent observer, keeping score in ways unseen, making sure that no one escapes the weight of their own choices. Those who throw thorns in your path will eventually find themselves walking barefoot on a road paved with glass. The harder they try to break you, the deeper they dig their own downfall. They watch you with envy, waiting for you to stumble, desperate to see you fail. But they don't realize the cosmic irony. Every attack, every scheme, every whispered lie meant to drag you down only fuels your rise. It's the greatest trick of fate. The moment they set their sights on your destruction, they unknowingly set fire to their own future. The chosen ones do not just survive. Every betrayal, every hardship, every act of sabotage is transformed into raw power, elevating them to heights their enemies never dreamed possible. They fear you because they cannot control you. They hate you because no matter how hard they try, you keep rising. You are not just a threat to them, you are their reckoning. The power you hold isn't just in your mind, it's in your resilience, in the way the universe bends around your growth. Every setback is a setup for something greater. Every attempt to break you carves you into something unstoppable. And here's the part they fear the most. You are just getting started. The weight of your presence keeps them restless. The thought of your success haunts them. While they plot your downfall, you are planning your empire. While they obsess over your failure, you are rewriting your destiny. Let them watch. Let them fear. Because the more they try to stop you, the more they ensure their own defeat. The war is already won. You just have to walk through the fire and claim what's yours. Before we dive into these hidden techniques, understand this. What you're about to hear isn't just information. It's a weapon that will shield you, strengthen you, and make sure no force can ever touch you again. The enemies watching you right now, they don't want you to hear this. They want you distracted, drained, doubting yourself. But if you're truly a chosen one, you'll stay until the end. Because deep down, you already know this knowledge was meant for you. So before we begin, do 3 things. Hit that like button, subscribe to stand with others who refuse to be broken, and drop "I am untouchable" in the comments. This isn't just a statement. It's a declaration that you are no longer an easy target. Now, get ready, because once you learn these techniques, nothing and no one will ever have power over you again. Let's begin. Number 1. Stop thinking it's random. Every attack is precision, engineered to break you. Nothing in your life is happening by accident. The obstacles, betrayals, and unexpected setbacks, they aren't random. They are calculated, designed to destabilize you in the areas where you are weakest. If you've ever felt like your struggles were tailor-made just for you, it's because they are. Your enemies don't waste energy on blind attacks. They strike where it hurts the most, targeting your insecurities, your doubts, and the wounds you thought you buried. They won't attack your strengths. They'll exploit your blind spots. The fears you haven't confronted, the patterns you haven't broken, the emotional triggers that send you spiraling, that's where they'll hit you. Have you noticed how every time you're about to level up, something suddenly goes wrong? That's not a coincidence. It's a precise, well-timed strike to knock you off course before you get too powerful. The wave of exhaustion that hits when you're making progress. That's by design. The toxic people who keep reappearing in your life, draining your energy, they weren't sent by accident. The sudden self-doubt right before a breakthrough, that's a trap. And here's where most people fail. They fight the symptoms instead of the source. They cut off toxic people, but never ask why they keep attracting them. They push through exhaustion, but never question where it comes from. They fight their emotions, instead of realizing that their own unhealed wounds are being used against them. If you don't know your vulnerabilities, you will always be an easy target. You don't need to be stronger, you need to be smarter. Study the patterns of your struggles. Where do you always get hit? What emotions get used against you? What thoughts keep you stuck? Attacks are only effective when they have something to grip onto. The enemy can only use what you haven't yet mastered. Once you recognize this, you stop reacting blindly and start seeing through the game. And the moment you see the game, you break it. Because when an attack no longer surprises you, it loses its power. When you know exactly where you're being targeted, you turn their strategy against them. They thought they were keeping you down, but they only made you more aware, and now you're untouchable. Number 2. Break free from invisible chains. Dismantle the energetic contracts, keeping you stuck. Every spiritual attack starts the same way, with an agreement. You may not remember signing it, you may not even realize it exists, but the moment you accept a thought, a belief, or an emotion that weakens you, you have unknowingly granted permission for the attack to exist in your life. You have to understand, energy operates on consent. Not all contracts are written in ink. Some are sealed in silence, in fear, in doubt. If you believe that suffering is just part of life, you've already agreed to struggle. If you've ever said, "I guess this is just the way things are," you've reinforced a reality where change is impossible. If you constantly attract people who drain your energy, it's because somewhere deep inside, you agreed to be their source. And here's the worst part. Most people don't even know they're playing by someone else's rules. They think they're cursed. They think bad luck follows them. But in reality, they are just acting out a script they never wrote. A script created by their past, by their fears, by the voices of those who wanted to keep them small. But here's the truth. No contract can hold you unless you keep signing it. You don't always need to fight back. Some battles aren't won through resistance, but through contract cancellation. You don't need to struggle against every toxic thought. You need to revoke the agreement that made it part of your reality in the first place. Start looking at where your energy is going. What situations do you keep feeding? What beliefs do you keep reinforcing? Every time you say, "I have no choice," you are accepting terms you never consciously agreed to. Every time you say, "This is just how life is," you are renewing a contract that keeps you stuck. The moment you take back your authority, the moment you reject the invisible contracts holding you down, the attacks lose their power. The chosen ones are not bound by fate, by past wounds, or by the expectations of others. They rewrite the script. So here's your next move. Cancel the contracts. Revoke the permissions. Walk away from anything that no longer serves you. Because once you stop signing agreements that work against you, nothing and no one can ever hold you back again. Number 3. Don't feed the enemy. Starve out the spiritual parasites, draining your power. Not every battle is won by fighting. Some enemies don't need to be destroyed, they need to be deprived. The attacks against you? They aren't always meant to break you in one devastating blow. Most of the time, they work like parasites, slow, draining, and insidious. They feed on your reactions, your emotions, your energy. The more you fight them directly, the more you fuel them. Think about it. When someone tries to provoke you, their goal isn't always to overpower you. Sometimes it's just to keep you distracted, tangled in their chaos, burning your energy on battles that never end. They don't need to destroy you. They just need you to keep engaging, because as long as you're reacting, they're winning. This is the trap. The more you try to defend yourself, the more you become entangled. Every time you explain yourself to those who already decided to misunderstand you, every time you replay an argument in your mind, every time you let frustration take over, you're feeding the very force that's working against you. Even your resistance gives it power. The only way to win? Starve it. Stop giving it what it needs to survive. Indifference is your strongest weapon, not ignorance. Indifference. It means knowing an attack is happening and refusing to let it touch you. It means recognizing when something is bait and refusing to bite. Fear, anger, obsession, these are all energy sources. Every time you focus on the attack, analyze it endlessly, or emotionally react, you're fueling it. But the moment you withdraw your energy, the parasite has nothing left to feed on. Here's the secret. The attack isn't just about hurting you. It's about controlling you. It wants to keep you distracted, reacting, drained. The moment it can no longer affect your state of being, it loses its purpose. You take away its power by refusing to engage. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending nothing is happening. It means redirecting your energy with precision. If something provokes fear, shift your focus to clarity. If something tries to drain you, respond with stillness. If something tries to make you feel weak, stand firm in your authority instead of proving yourself. The strongest defense isn't a counterattack, it's becoming untouchable. When they realize they can no longer provoke you, they lose interest, fade away, and collapse under their own weight. Number 4. Crack the code. Decode the hidden symbols that reveal your attacks before they strike. Nothing happens in isolation. Every setback, every betrayal, every energy-draining interaction, it's not random. It's a pattern. A carefully designed script meant to keep you running in circles, repeating the same battles over and over again. The moment you start recognizing the blueprint behind these attacks, you strip them of their power. Think about it. Why do the same struggles keep resurfacing? Why do you keep encountering the same kind of manipulative people, the same sudden roadblocks just before success, the same emotional triggers that pull you into self-doubt? That's because these attacks aren't just obstacles, they are traps. Psychological and energetic patterns set up to keep you exactly where you are. But here's the key. Every attack leaves clues. They are coded messages hidden in your struggles, and if you learn to decode them, you can outmaneuver every attempt to hold you back. Start paying attention. Look beyond the surface. If certain numbers keep appearing during moments of crisis, they're not just coincidences. If you always feel drained after interacting with specific people, they are not just difficult individuals. They are symbols of something deeper. They are part of the cycle. And that cycle has a purpose: to control you through repetition. If the attack works once, it will be used against you again and again. If betrayal shakes you, you'll face it repeatedly. If fear makes you hesitate, the same situations will arise to trigger that hesitation. But here's where the chosen ones separate from the weak. They learn, they adapt, they break the cycle. The moment you start responding differently, the script collapses. Instead of reacting the same way, disrupt the pattern. Instead of being caught off guard, expect it, prepare for it, and dismantle it. They rely on your predictability. They count on you taking the bait. But what happens when you stop falling for it? When you don't react the way they expect, the attack loses all power. This is how you rewrite your destiny, by refusing to play the same role over and over again. Break the cycle, and you break their hold on you. Number 5. Trace the source. Find out who or what gains power from your struggles and cut it off. Attacks don't happen without purpose. They aren't random storms of chaos. They are precise moves in a game you didn't sign up for, but are forced to play. The real power isn't in blindly fighting back. It's in asking the one question your enemies hope you never consider. Who benefits if I stay weak? Step back and observe. Every setback, every betrayal, every moment of self-doubt is serving someone or something. Sometimes the attack is external, a toxic person, a draining environment, or an unseen force feeding off your struggle. These people aren't always acting alone. Some are puppets, knowingly or unknowingly controlled by something greater that sees you as a threat. The moment you start rising, they are activated. They show up to distract, to discourage, to derail you. Some do it with a smile, pretending to care. Others come in full force, hoping to shake you. But the goal is always the same: to keep you small, uncertain, and stuck. But not every attack comes from the outside. Sometimes the greatest enemy wears your face, a past version of yourself that refuses to let go. Your own mind can sabotage you, clinging to the familiar, even when the familiar is toxic. If you always hesitate before taking a leap, if you always question your worth, if fear grabs you the moment you step forward, that's not an external enemy. That's a battle within, and it's one you must win. The most dangerous attacks are a mix of both: an external force exploiting an internal weakness, a toxic person using your fear of abandonment against you, a manipulative force fueling your insecurities, a setback triggering an old belief that you're not good enough. These attacks work only because they have something to grip onto inside you. If you had no weak spots, they'd have nothing to hold. So here's what you do. Stop fighting the symptoms and start dismantling the foundation that allows the attack to exist. If it's a toxic person, cut the energetic tie. If it's a belief, rewrite the narrative. If it's fear, confront it head on and burn it to the ground. The moment you eliminate the root, the attack collapses. You're not here to play defense forever. You're here to rise, untouchable. Number 6. Stop being an easy target. Fortify your aura with an unbreakable spiritual firewall. Your aura is your armor, your first and last line of defense against the forces trying to drain, manipulate, and infiltrate you. But here's the problem. Most people walk through life completely exposed. Their energy is full of cracks, weak spots left open by past trauma, self-doubt, and toxic connections. And just like an unprotected system can be hacked, an unsecured aura is an open invitation for attacks. You ever wonder why certain places leave you feeling exhausted? Why some people seem to suck the life out of you after just a short conversation? Why negative energy clings to you even when you try to shake it off? It's because your aura is absorbing everything around it like a sponge. And if you don't secure it, you become a walking target for manipulation, energy theft, and spiritual interference. The solution isn't just cleansing. Cleansing removes, but it doesn't protect. You don't just clean your house and leave the doors unlocked, right? You reinforce them. You add security measures that make it impossible for intruders to break in. That's exactly what you need to do with your energy field. This is called energetic encryption, a technique that doesn't just block unwanted forces, but repels them before they even reach you. It's the difference between constantly fighting off attacks and becoming so untouchable that attacks can't even land. Everything in the spiritual realm operates on frequency and permission. Negative forces don't kick down doors. They slip through the ones left open. Your fears, doubts, and unconscious agreements act as invitations. If your energy isn't programmed with clear boundaries, any force can enter. It's time to rewrite the code. Energetic encryption means setting non-negotiable commands into your aura, laws that declare what can and cannot access you. And no, these aren't just weak affirmations. They are ironclad instructions that reshape your reality. Say them with authority, conviction, and absolute certainty. Number 7. Become untrackable. Master dimensional cloaking and disappear from their radar. The greatest warriors are not the ones who fight every battle. They are the ones who never become a target in the first place. The enemies hunting you, the manipulators trying to drain you, the forces working against you. They can only attack what they can see. If they can't detect your presence, they can't reach you. This is where dimensional cloaking comes in. Most people think defense is about building walls, fighting back, or standing their ground. But the highest level of protection is not needing to defend yourself at all. When you understand how energy works, you realize something powerful. Everything operates on frequency. The people and forces trying to harm you are not random. They are drawn to a specific energy signature: fear, anger, insecurity, emotional chaos. These are beacons that light you up like a signal flare in the darkness. The more you react, the more you shine. The more you engage, the more visible you become. This is why certain people keep experiencing attacks. They are unconsciously making themselves an easy target. But when you master energetic stillness, you become invisible, not physically, but spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. You stop broadcasting distress signals. You stop feeding the energy that predators latch onto. You become like smoke in the wind. There, but untouchable. Think of a master strategist in battle. The best way to survive an ambush is not to charge forward blindly. It's to disappear from sight until the enemy moves on. This isn't weakness. This is power. The fastest way to cloak yourself: complete non-reaction. The moment you stop reacting, you fade from their radar. When they can't provoke you, they lose interest. When they can't find an opening, they turn elsewhere. You don't have to fight every battle. Sometimes, the smartest move is to step off the battlefield entirely. When you stop feeding negativity, it starves. When you stop engaging in toxic cycles, they collapse. When you remove yourself from the emotional chessboard, you become untouchable. This is why the most powerful chosen ones move in silence. They don't announce their next move. They don't react to distractions. They master the art of being unseen. And that is how you win the war without ever lifting a sword. Number 8. Close the open doors. Shut down hidden agreements that give your power away. Not every attack comes from the outside. Some of the worst ones were invited in, not because you wanted them, but because at some point you unknowingly gave permission. Every fear you accepted, every limitation you believed, every self-doubt you carried became an open door, an unconscious contract that allows external forces to manipulate your reality without resistance. These agreements were never written in ink. They were burned into your subconscious through pain, trauma, and conditioning. Maybe someone told you that you weren't good enough, and you believed it. Maybe life knocked you down one too many times, and you silently agreed that success wasn't meant for you. Every time you thought, "This is just how my life is," you unknowingly signed a contract that made it your truth. And the forces working against you, they thrive on these agreements. But here's what they don't want you to know. No contract is permanent unless you keep renewing it. You may have accepted these limitations before, but you don't have to carry them any longer. Every hidden agreement that has kept you stuck can be revoked. And the moment you do, the attacks that relied on those agreements will collapse. You're not weak. You're not cursed. You're not destined to struggle. You're just operating under a script you didn't write, and it's time to tear it up. Say this with full intention. I revoke all hidden agreements, contracts, and permissions that do not serve my highest power. They no longer have authority over me. This isn't just an affirmation, it's an energetic reset. The second you speak it with conviction, it sends a shockwave through your field, closing every loophole that allowed negativity to latch onto you. But remember, clearing out an old contract isn't enough. You must replace it. Create a new agreement. I now accept only contracts that align with my strength, clarity, and unstoppable power. Because here's the truth. Spiritual attacks thrive where there is unresolved permission. If you keep facing the same struggles, ask yourself, what did I unknowingly agree to? What belief keeps pulling me into the same cycle? The moment you take back control, those forces lose access. They can't attack what they no longer have permission to touch. And once you reclaim your power, they'll never get near you again. Number 9. Don't fall for the illusion. Expose the Trojan horse of false light before it leads you astray. One of the most dangerous attacks doesn't come from obvious enemies. It comes disguised as help, wisdom, and guidance. Not every voice that whispers in your ear is there to lead you forward. Some are Trojan horses, designed to slip past your defenses, feeding your ego, your desires, or your insecurities, while steering you further from your true path. The most deceptive traps don't knock you down. They lift you up artificially, making you feel untouchable, enlightened, or superior. You may hear voices, follow a certain belief, or receive a nudge that convinces you you're on a higher level than others, beyond question, beyond deception. The moment you believe you're immune to manipulation, you've already been caught in the web. False light forces are masters of illusion. They tell you exactly what you want to hear, playing on your emotions, giving you a sense of purpose, power, and clarity, but only on their terms. They don't teach you to think for yourself. They teach you to follow blindly, to trust without questioning, to believe you've arrived, when in reality, you've just stepped into a cage wrapped in gold. This is how chosen ones are led astray. They mistake emotional highs for spiritual truth, thinking they've reached a new level of understanding, but in reality, they've just been pulled into a loop of ego-driven illusions. They isolate themselves, believing they've outgrown others, or they become obsessed with their own wisdom, failing to realize they're just running in circles instead of moving forward. The real test of truth isn't how it makes you feel, it's what it reveals. True wisdom doesn't stroke your ego, make you feel special, or tell you what you want to hear. It challenges you, it humbles you, it forces you to confront things you'd rather avoid. If a guiding force makes you dependent on it instead of empowering you to stand on your own, it's not light, it's a leash. The greatest mistake you can make is to stop questioning. No matter how enlightened you feel, how powerful the guidance seems, or how right something appears, always question. The truth will never demand your obedience, it will empower your discernment. If you're truly chosen, you don't need a voice telling you who you are. You already know. Number 10. Kill the attack before it fully forms. Master thought form combat and crush it at the root. Every battle starts long before you ever see it. Before it reaches your reality, before it manifests in your life, it begins as a thought. A whisper of doubt, a fleeting fear, an intrusive worry that seems harmless at first, until it grows. If you don't stop the attack at the thought stage, it will become your reality. This is how they get to you. Not with force, not with direct attacks, but with suggestion. They don't have to destroy you. They just have to plant the seed and let you do it yourself. That small hesitation when you're about to take action, the sudden feeling that you're not good enough, the voice that tells you to wait, to second guess, to pull back, that's the attack. The moment you entertain it, it expands. You start picturing failure. You start feeling the emotions attached to it. And before you even realize what's happening, you are acting in alignment with the doubt, creating the exact failure you feared. This is how spiritual warfare works. They know they don't need to physically stop you. They just need to make you stop yourself. Fear, hesitation, self-sabotage, these are the weapons. And if you let them take root, they will control you without ever having to touch you. But here's the truth. Thoughts only have power if you give it to them. And once you master thought form combat, you can destroy the enemy before it ever takes shape. The moment a negative thought arises, you don't fight it, you override it. If the attack whispers, "You're not strong enough," don't argue. Crush it instantly. "I am untouchable." If fear creeps in, don't engage. Block it. "This energy is not mine. I release it now." Why does this work? Because thought forms need your belief to survive. If you refuse to feed them, they starve and die. This is how the strongest warriors win, not by fighting battles after they start, but by eliminating them before they ever arrive. So, train yourself. Recognize the attack at its birth. The moment you sense fear, hesitation, or doubt creeping in, shut it down. Because once you do, they have nothing left to use against you. Number 11. Face your darkest enemy. Your own shadow might be attacking you from within. Not every battle is fought against an external force. Sometimes the enemy is closer than you think. It's the part of you that you've buried, denied, or refused to acknowledge. Your greatest attacker might be your own shadow. Think about it. How many times have you sabotaged yourself right before a breakthrough? How often have you doubted yourself into inaction, convinced yourself that you weren't ready, or let fear keep you from stepping into your power? That's not just hesitation. That's an internal attack, and it's coming from a part of you that hasn't yet healed. Your shadow is made up of everything you've suppressed. Pain you never processed, anger you never released, fears you never confronted. These wounds don't just disappear, they wait. They linger beneath the surface, looking for an opportunity to take control. And when the right trigger appears, they strike, making you second-guess yourself, pushing you toward the same destructive patterns, convincing you that you are unworthy of success, love, or peace. This is why some chosen ones keep running into the same struggles. They think they're being attacked by outside forces when, in reality, they are stuck in a loop of their own making. The subconscious mind is powerful. It clings to what is familiar, even if it's painful. If you've lived in fear, rejection, or struggle for too long, your own mind will try to recreate it, because that's what it knows. Your shadow feeds on your past wounds, using them as weapons against you. And this is where most people make the mistake. They fight themselves. They resist their emotions, suppress their pain, and pretend their wounds don't exist. But you cannot defeat your shadow by ignoring it. You must face it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Every doubt, every fear, every setback is a message. Your job is to listen, understand, and take back control. Your shadow isn't there to destroy you, it's there to be mastered. Once you heal the parts of yourself that were once used against you, you become unstoppable. Because the truth is, no outside attack is more dangerous than the war within. And the moment you win that war, nothing can ever break you again. Number 12. Take back control. Neutralize every spiritual attack with the power of emotional alchemy. Spiritual attacks don't just come to harm you, they come to control you. Every enemy, every setback, every betrayal is designed not just to break you, but to force a reaction out of you. Because the moment you react exactly as they expect, with fear, rage, or hopelessness, they win. But here's the secret they don't want you to know. Your emotions are not just weapons against you, they are weapons for you. If you master them, you don't just survive the attack, you flip the entire game on its head. Fear is the first poison they use. It's the easiest way to weaken you, to make you question yourself, to trap you in hesitation. When fear takes hold, your energy drops, your focus blurs, and suddenly you're playing defense instead of offense. But what happens if you stop running from fear and turn it into clarity? Instead of thinking, "I'm under attack," ask yourself, "What is this trying to teach me?" The moment you shift from victim to strategist, the fear loses its grip. Now, you're studying the attack instead of being consumed by it. Anger is their second weapon. They want you impulsive, reckless, easy to provoke. When you explode in rage, you lose control. But what if, instead of reacting blindly, you redirect that fire into action? When something tries to trigger you, don't think, "This isn't fair." Instead, ask, "What is this revealing about my boundaries?" Suddenly, you aren't a puppet being pulled by emotional strings. You're using that energy to fortify yourself, sharpen your mind, and strengthen your position. This is emotional alchemy, not suppressing what you feel, but transforming it into power. Fear becomes awareness. Anger becomes precision. Pain becomes wisdom. The moment you stop reacting in predictable ways, the attack collapses. The forces that once thrived on your distress suddenly have nothing left to latch onto. Your greatest weapon isn't resistance, it's control. The ability to feel everything but be owned by nothing. To take every attempt to break you and convert it into raw, unstoppable energy. This is how you become untouchable, not by avoiding attacks, but by ensuring that every attack only sharpens your mastery and fuels your rise. Number 13. Escape the loop. Break free from the same repeated attacks that keep you stuck. If your life feels like a broken record, the same betrayals, the same setbacks, the same toxic cycles pulling you back, no matter how hard you try to move forward, you're not just unlucky. You are caught in a time loop, and it was designed to keep you stuck. These loops aren't random. They are carefully crafted traps, programmed into your reality by forces that do not want you to evolve. They know your habits, your reactions, your weaknesses, and they use them to reset the cycle every time you get close to breaking free. Every betrayal feels like déjà vu. Every struggle echoes the last. New faces, different circumstances, but the same energy. And if you don't change how you respond, you will keep playing the same role in a script you never wrote. Understand this. The loop only exists because it knows how you will react. If fear has always made you hesitate, they will use fear. If anger has always blinded you, they will provoke rage. If exhaustion has always made you quit, they will drain you until you surrender. But what happens when you stop playing by the rules? What happens when you introduce something new into the equation? The entire system collapses. If fear has always controlled you, step straight into it. Do the thing they never expect. Move forward, even when everything tells you to stop. If anger has always consumed you, master the art of silence. Starve them of your energy. If exhaustion has always made you retreat, keep going when they expect you to break. Confuse the system. Disrupt the rhythm, break the script. Most people think they're moving forward when they're really just shifting the scenery. They leave one toxic relationship only to attract another. They quit one draining job only to find themselves in the same struggle under a different name. Because they never change the energy. The external situation doesn't matter. The loop repeats itself wherever you go, until you rewrite it from the inside out. This is how chosen ones break free, not by resisting, not by fighting harder, but by refusing to engage in the same predictable way. Instead of seeing these attacks as struggles you must endure, see them as patterns you must outmaneuver. The moment you respond in a way they never expected, you take back control. And when you stop feeding the loop, it dies. Number 14. Know why they fear you. Attacks only come to those powerful enough to shake the system. If they could ignore you, they would. If you were insignificant, they wouldn't waste their energy. But here you are, under attack, targeted, and tested at every turn. Why? Because your very existence disrupts the system. Your growth shakes foundations. Your resilience makes them nervous. You are a problem for those who thrive in control, deception, and stagnation. They don't come for the weak. They come for those who are rising. Have you ever noticed how the attacks get worse when you're on the verge of something big? The moment you start leveling up, the resistance intensifies. The betrayals hit harder. The doubts creep in stronger. The distractions multiply. That's not random. That's desperation. The forces working against you aren't just attacking you, they are scrambling to stop you, because they see something in you that you might not even fully see in yourself yet. And that's the trick. The biggest mistake people make during spiritual attacks is misinterpreting them. They ask, "Why me? Why is this happening?" When the real question should be, "What do they see in me that I haven't realized yet?" Because the moment you understand this truth, everything changes. You stop panicking, you stop second-guessing, you stop shrinking. Instead of breaking down, you double down. Instead of slowing down, you speed up. Every attempt to knock you off your path becomes fuel for your rise. Every obstacle placed in your way turns into a stepping stone. Understand this. Your presence is a problem for them, but their resistance is proof of your power. They wouldn't fight you if you weren't making an impact. They wouldn't target you if you weren't dangerous to their agenda. You are the disruptor, the game changer, the force they cannot ignore. And the more they try to stop you, the more they guarantee their own failure. So now you have two choices. You can see these attacks as a sign to retreat, to doubt yourself, to question your worth. Or you can recognize them for what they truly are: confirmation. Proof that you were never meant to live small. Proof that your power cannot be contained. Proof that you are on the verge of something so massive that they are willing to throw everything at you just to keep you from stepping into it. But they've already lost, because you're still here. And now you know the truth. The battle was never about whether you could win. It was about whether you would recognize who you are. And now that you do, there's no stopping you. Now that you see the truth, everything changes. You were never weak. You were never the victim. Every attack, every obstacle, every betrayal was proof of your power. They tried to stop you, but all they did was sharpen your resilience. You are not just surviving. You are rising, unstoppable and untouchable. The battle was never about breaking you. It was about seeing if you'd realize who you truly are. And now you do. If this message hit deep, like this video, subscribe, and drop "I am unbreakable" in the comments. Because now, nothing and no one can stop you.